Bitte, hören Sie auf zu schießen!
Komm her!
Die Soldaten, die noch da sind, möchten sich ergeben! Wir ergeben uns, ja! Der Krieg ist vorbei! Gott sei Dank!
Sag ihnen, sie sollen rauskommen. Ohne Waffen und mit erhobenen Händen.
Komm raus! Ohne Waffen!
Check the door. Let's go. It's a bunch of kids.
Right over there! Let's go!
Schnell, schnell.
The fuck is
Bürgermeister, was ist deine Lieblingsfarbe? Bist ein guter Tänzer? Stehst auf dicke Weiber?
Yeah.
Hey, shoot that guy.
This guy?
Yeah, him.
Oh. Hey, Angel. This one's yours. Auf Wiedersehen, asshole.
What?
I've told you, mate. My name's Rob.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and if you're new, I'm the Bloody Mama. Today I'll be doing a Pea Dot camo guide featuring AK's Pea Dot camo paint set. This video came about because last week I had a day off work and decided to try something new. I'm pretty open about how much I hate camo, and I woke up feeling brave that day and decided to paint my Erwin Koenig in a not historically accurate, not that he was a real person anyway, Pea Dot camo. I posted it over on Instagram. It did pretty well. A few people liked it, including one of my hobby heroes. I thought I'd have a go at recreating that paint scheme, as it's a pretty easy way to paint battle-ready Pea Dot camo. Again, it's not 100% historically accurate, but you can still see it's Pea Dot camo, so it's totally fine, in my opinion anyway. So, after saying that, let's begin. This paint set includes 6 colours for each stage. So let's base coat all the models in Dot 44 brown base. AK paints can be quite thin out the bottle, so you may need multiple coats when applying this. 2 to 3 slightly watered down coats should be fine. Because we're not using any washes, the next stage we'll be using Grim Brown. And we're going to use this to recess shade. Slightly water it down, as you can see here. And then begin to paint all the recesses on the miniatures. Painting Pea Dot camo is an extremely messy process and only comes out looking well right at the end. So don't be disheartened when we go through each of the stages and the miniatures look like a mess. I promise you, by the end of it, they'll be looking great. I actually had anxiety when filming this video, as I didn't think it would turn out well. I had to stop filming halfway through just to finish a miniature, just to prove to myself that I could actually do it. The next step is to grab some cork and highlight all the raised areas. This may seem counterintuitive, as we're going to be filling this with camo, but just trust me, it works. We'll highlight the areas that aren't covered in the camo spots. So once we're done with the base coats and the highlights, it's time to move on to the camo spots. For this, we're using AK's dark green and AK's orange tan. It doesn't matter which one goes first, we just need to do both of them. The best way I can describe it is kind of paint it as if you're painting a dairy cow, or maybe a Dalmatian. Lots of random spots all over the uniform, but we're not going over anywhere where there would be seams. So we end the arm spots where they meet the shoulder, and keep the pockets and the uniform's spots separate. Watch for the seams on any helmets as well, as you can see here. Again, it'll look messy as you're doing it, but once you add the spots, it starts all coming together. So I'll show you how I paint the spots on my infantry, starting out with orange tan. All these spots can be random shapes, random sizes. Probably don't do them too big though, and remember to watch the seams. Try not to crowd the miniature in one specific colour of spots, but if you do, we can always cover it in the other. That's the one good thing about camos like this, they're very forgiving. So when your miniatures look like this, it's time to start the other colour. Repeating the same process as before, just leaving spots all over the miniature. Again, any shape and size will do. Don't be worried about overlapping either. It will all blend together once we add those little spots in. You can see what I mean here about this whole process looking terribly messy. Unfortunately, it's just one of those times where you just have to trust the process. Try not to get disheartened and keep plodding on. So once we're happy with the amount of big spots on the miniatures, we're going to use the same colours, but this time instead of doing big spots, we're just going to do little ones. Use the tip of a good brush, and just put down as many as you see fit. Just keep in mind that we're going to be using 2 more spot colours, so try not to overcrowd it in one colour. Now it's time to go back to the opposite big spot colour and just do more tiny dots. Again, there's one more colour to go in after this, so don't do too many. If you're painting an army of these, don't be too worried about the size of the spots, as once they're in a big cluster, it'll be almost impossible to see the bigger, slightly bigger spots anyway. So we're almost there, one more colour to do. So AK recommends you use light green for the final spot highlight, as I did on Owen Koenig, but for some reason I decided to be different and use cork instead. So compare the two miniatures, and if you want to eliminate a paint, just use cork again. And like the previous stage, all we're doing is more tiny spots. And once you've done all those steps, your Pea Dot camo is basically finished. There's just one more thing that we need to do, and that's finish painting the rest of the miniature. You'll notice that once the rest of the miniature is painted, the camouflage really comes to life. So this video was initially a Flak 88 and crew guide, but I decided to break it up into a Pea Dot guide and a Flak 88 guide instead. So until next time, I've been the Bloody Moor, and you've been wonderful. Stay safe.